Okay, good evening and welcome everybody to this live demonstration session being conducted by Drop Institute for 46 comprehensive course on echocardiography online sessions. This is a unique platform developed by Drop Institute where we can go live with our machine and we conduct our interactive sessions. And I'm sure all of you will enjoy this particular session where we will talk of knobology. We'll talk of a 2D, we'll talk of a color doctor, then we'll talk of pulse wave, continuous wave, aliasing, as well as turbulence. So with these few words, let me get going. All of you can see a screen right in front of you. There are two screens are there right in front of you. First screen is on the left-hand side. Where you can see a live image. This image will change automatically number of times. It will all depend on what kind of a things we want to demonstrate, on what place we like to focus it up, and that's how it will be going in a specific fashion. So to begin with, if you happen to look these knobs, you can blow up your screen completely. Once you blow up your screen completely, on the right side of a screen, you see this particular setup is over there. On this side, there's a button with name of 2 dimensions or 2D. If I press this button as a 2D, look what happens to screen.
Sir, unable to see, sir. कुछ दिख नहीं रहा है.
Go out and join again. Quit and come back again.
Where to join?
Drop Institute.
Sir, we are joining on the window which is provided to us. Meeting.
Drop. There are 2 windows are there. One window is the Drop Institute window is there. Yeah. Pause. We are going to show a live demonstrations on this 7th of October 2022, and we are going to talk about MO, 2D, and adapter apart from knobology. In this particular session, I'm going to talk about knobology. And please silence your mic if you want to listen carefully. Many people, they are creating a lot of noises in between. If he doesn't listen to it, just block him completely. One more person is there. All right, if you look at these knobs, seen over here is we have these particular knobs which you can see very carefully and clearly. This is known as 2 dimensions or 2D, with which you can get back to 2D at any time from any place. Suppose there was a color which was shown over here and you want to come back to 2D, just press a 2D button. Next to 2D, there is an M mode section where once you press a button, it will go to an M mode fashion. And if you look at the screen upstairs, on this particular screen, there is a marks over here which suggests a distance of 1 centimeter from top to bottom. Then third is color gains. Look, you can't see any gains of the color in this. I'm going to increase the color gains over here. I'm increasing my color gains. Now this is the maximum color gains I've got it. So I'm going to reduce it one by one so that only a few speckles are seen in this color gain. So this is something like optimization of color gains. Then on top of this, there is a button with the number PW. This PW is a button which tells you about a pulse wave Doppler spectrum pattern. And we can see a line in between which talks about a flow towards the transducer and the flow away from a transducer. That is positive Doppler shift and a negative Doppler shift. Then instead of PW, if I go back to PW again, look carefully, there is a separation of a space between this particular point. What does this mean by? It means by that PW is interrogating a subject at that particular moment, at that particular place. If I switch over to continuous wave Doppler, look, that line or a space is gone away completely. It's become single line and it will be interrogating Doppler flow from right from top to bottom. That's how the continuous wave Doppler would be there. In this particular fashion, these are knobs: 2D, color, pulse wave, CW, M mode. Now there's a knob with the word of cursor. Look, with a cursor, you can see this cursor over here, which you can take anywhere on the side of a screen. In this cursor, we can really look at what place we would like to identify a patient's evaluation on that particular subject. Then on the right side of the screen, there is a word known as caliper. This caliper, if I freeze my sentence over here, I can measure this caliper from one point to another point. So this is a distance between one point to another point, and it reflects at 3.41 centimeter in this particular fashion. So where do we use it? We use it LVOT diameters, mitral annulus diameters, RVRA measurements. Many places we use this caliper to measure these kind of things. Similarly, if you
What I want to say is
measure, we can look at these all measurements which are seen on the right side of our screen. So whether these measurements are there or not there, you can see them all together over here. Then these are the few buttons which we need a day-to-day practice. Second button is, you look at a 2D and an active mode. What do you mean by 2D? We have to increase the gains of a 2D. So I'm going to increase the gain. There's generalized increase in the gain of 2D. At the same time, there's a word TGCs, trans gain compensations. And if you look at the screen very carefully, if I'm reducing the top buttons, the top button or the proximal gains are reduced to a large extent. Correct? Now I'm increasing my lower gains or distal gains. Now I'm increasing the distal gains and I'm coming up gradually one by one. Why we need all these things? Possibly in this era of a linear phase array transducer, we do not need this, but when we need to focus something in obese patients, we need to have these kind of things. Then there is a name with the name of patient. This is how we start with every subject. We fill his data, name, we give an ID number, and then we put on a height and a weight of a subject, get a body surface area, and a male or a female along with the age. And we need to put on a blood pressure in some cases where we have an opportunity to look for what kind of a blood pressure are we dealing with. Why? Something in aortic regurgitations, we need to have a blood pressure like 180 by 10 or 120, 180 by 20 or 30. So that itself is telling you, look, patient has got a severe aortic regurgitation. Patient of aortic stenosis, the BP would be very, very high. It will not be small. Normally, a blood pressure is pretty high in this subset of populations. Then, once we move on this, we go to the top of these buttons. Look, there is a button with the name of frequency. And if you look at the screen on the right side of a screen, I'm going to focus on the right side of the screen. Here is a frequency of 1.7 hertz per second. I'm going to reduce this frequency to 1.4. My machine is capable to go into frequency of almost 1.4. That will be good for good penetration in obese subject. Look at the frame rate at the same time. It's 65 frames per second. Any good machine has got at least frame rate of 50 or more or 70 or more. I can reduce or I can increase this frame rate by doing a very simple maneuver by reducing my width of this window. This window, do you see this window? I can reduce the width of this window by looking at the width reset. So I'm reducing the width of the reset and my frame rate has gone to 82 now. So in case of obese patient, I can use my lower frequency and a higher frame rate. Then comes a word on a screen. Look at the screen over here. This is the V mark. This is almost always on the right side of a screen. This is 0 to 5 centimeter. This is 10 centimeter, this is 15 centimeter of a distance. Normally we keep a distance, our heart is about 15 to 17 centimeters from a point of interrogation. So we are measuring this point, and if you switch on a cursor, even the cursor will have the same kind of a things or measurements. Look, I can see this cursor. I hope you all of you can see this cursor. This cursor has got the same
No, sir.
17 centimeter of this cursor. And then we can change the colors of the screen also. Now you are going to see a better cursor on a screen. These are known as B-scan colors. In obese patients, again, we can use these B-scan colors for better visualization of our windows. So this is what knobology is. And now I'll request anybody who would like to know anything in knobology so that your views are clear in knobology. So other people will learn, they will listen, and they'll understand what is knobology is.
Sir, what is the change of the color for the obese patient called? Could you please repeat?
This is a change of a color for obese patients. You go to the screen, we have a color maps. If you happen to look at the color maps over here, I can change this color map to multiple different colors. We can call them as a B-scan colors.
Sorry, sir. B.
B for Bombay, B-scan colors.
B scan, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any questions? Anybody?
What is this frequency button means for?
One by one, raise your hand, I'll call you the name. Just raise your hand. Dr. Shashank.
Sir, can you repeat for the frequency, importance of frequency and frame rate?
Correct. Look, in this machine, look at the screen over here. There's a word frequency and octave. Correct? Can you see this frequency button? Say yes or no.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Prashant, if you switch
Yes,
on
sir. Yes, sir. I can see.
if you switch on this, you look at the frequency. So what happens? You can increase the frequency or reduce the frequency of this patient. So obese patients, we need a lower frequency. In thin patients, we need a higher frequency. So if you look at the right side of the screen, I'm increasing my frequency from 2.2 megahertz to almost 4.5 megahertz. So I can use this button to change the frequency, and lower the frequency, better would be the penetration. Okay?
Okay, sir. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Dr. Veerwar,
Sir, yes, sir. Sir, will we be increasing the frame rate if we make the spectrum like thing? That will be the if we make it narrower. That's what you told.
yeah, what you need to say is look at this width reset.
With three
If I'm
sets.
increasing the width, my frame rate is dropping. So in obese patient, I'll reduce my width of this sector analysis. So frequency will go up. Frames per second. Dr. Parashar told you how many frames or beats per second is going to scan it. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Veerwar.
Sir, how to save the still image and the video image, and how to again review it?
Look at the screen over here, image store.
Okay, sir.
If you press this button, now you see on the screen, there is a QRS complex. Once we add ECG, it will be a QRS complex.
Yes, sir.
If you press again, it will get stored
2 times.
2 times.
Okay.
And if it's a static image,
Hmm.
suppose this is, I just did a freeze,
Hmm.
I did image store, it will go to store in a frozen image.
Okay.
So live image 2 times, frozen image 1 times, you will get the storage.
And again, how to review it again? Where it is stored in a particular file or
Stored
folder?
on a screen. See your left hand of the screen.
Yes, sir.
Can you see the left hand of the screen? All images are stored on the left hand of the screen.
Okay, okay. Okay, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Rajesh Gudade. Rajesh, your question. We'll come back to him again. Dr. Anuj Kumar.
Hello.
Hello.
Anuj, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Sir, as we are using different transducers for different frequency, how this frequency button on eco machine affects that frequency, means the frequency of the transducer.
Your voice is not clear, Anuj, at all.
Sir, as we are using different transducer for different frequency, so
I
how this
got it.
frequency?
I got it. If you say different transducer for different frequencies,
Yes, sir.
like adult transducer has got a frequency of 2 megahertz. So it will work between 2 to 4. Then there is a second pediatric transducer which has got a frequency of 3.5. It works from 3.5 to 7 megahertz. Then neonatal transducer is there, which will work at a frequency of 5 to 10 megahertz. So once you change a transducer, the frequency will change automatically. So we have to have a 2 or 3 different transducer depending on your work of evaluation.
Then, sir, how this frequency button on eco machine affects that frequency of transducer?
Frequency button affects what?
Sir, we are using different transducer for different frequencies. Then, how this frequency button affects that transducer, frequency of transducer?
How this is a physics basically. I cannot go into details of this. Just understand, if I'm using a pediatric population, I'm using a transducer from 2.5 to 5 megahertz. Otherwise, in adult population, I'm using from 2 to 4 megahertz, and neonatal, I'm using from 7.5 to 15 megahertz.
So suppose I am using a transducer of 2 to 4 megahertz.
Right.
Okay, and I set frequency of 3 on that eco machine button, frequency
Correct.
button. So what will be the frequency of the transducer I am using?
Transducer frequency would remain the same. The concept of linear phase array transducer is it sends an impulse beat from 2 megahertz to 4 megahertz. Suppose you have set at 3. So it will send an impulse beat at 3 megahertz and receive back up to 6 megahertz.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, sir.
Dr. Dheeraj Kumar.
The knobology of machines like ultrasound machines will be different from the current machine you are showing off, sir.
Speak a little louder, Dheeraj. We are not able to hear you despite attachment of these microphones.
Sir, knobology of ultrasound machine which is being used with a cardiac probe, knobology of that is different from that what we are getting on the screen.
It's a very difficult thing which you are going to ask me right now.
Yeah,
What
sir.
you are asking me is ultrasound machine used for echocardiography.
Right, sir. Because we are.
I'm sorry, will not be able to tell you because ultrasound machine is entirely different for as far as cardiac machine is concerned.
Okay, sir.
Buttons remains almost the same, but the frame rate of ultrasound machine is very low. You look at the screen over here. What do you see in the screen? You can see a good endocardium.
Right, sir.
Now they're going to change the B mode colors, B scan colors. Once I change the B scan color, now look how good endocardial thickness is there.
Correct, sir.
You can't see endocardial thickness with ultrasound machine because frame rate is pretty low, 20-25.
Yes, sir. That is low.
So that will be a limitation. If you're planning to do echocardiography with the ultrasound machine, possibly you're going to make a lot of mistakes over a period of time.
Right. For the practice, I'm practicing with.
Practice is fine. Buttons will remain the same, but ultimately when you do echo, you have to have a good echo machine.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Deepak Kumar.
Yes, sir. Sir, my question is, in a sectoral width, if left side is visualized clearly, but right side is not visualized, what can we do for it, sir? Or whether technique is wrong or something else?
Your
We can
question
do.
is left side is visualized, right side is not visualized, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's a very simple way. I'll just show you a live demonstration now. Left fifth intercostal space, you move to left fourth intercostal space. I'm going to show a live demonstration in a few minutes. Give me a sec. All right. All right. So his question was, if we see a left side of a this is 4-chamber view. If we see a left side of the screen, not the right side of the screen, what do we do, right? So I'm going to go a space up. Look at the camera, look at this